I did not raise my voice. I did not slam the door. I simply turned around, walked back to my truck, and drove the 200 miles home to Montana. My son's words were still ringing in my ears. Dad, this really isn't a good time. We weren't expecting you. It was Thanksgiving. I had driven through a snowstorm to get there. My name is Robert Hayes. I'm 63 years old. I spent 37 years working as a foreman at a lumber mill in Missoula. I raised my son Derek alone after my wife passed when he was just 8 years old. Cancer took her in 6 months. I never remarried. Derek was enough. He was everything. I worked double shifts so he could go to college. I sold my father's vintage motorcycle collection to pay for his MBA. When he got that job in Seattle at the tech company, making more money than I'd seen in my entire life, I told him I was proud, and I meant it. The thing about Derek is that he always wanted more. Even as a kid, he'd look at other families and notice what they had that we didn't. The nicer cars, the bigger houses. I understood it. I really did. Growing up without a mother, with a father who came home smelling like sawdust and diesel, it couldn't have been easy for him. But I thought we were past that. The drive to Seattle had taken me 11 hours. I left at 4 in the morning because I wanted to surprise them. Derek had mentioned on our last phone call, 3 weeks ago, that they were hosting Thanksgiving at their new house in Bellevue. He said it casually, didn't invite me directly, but I thought that's what sons did sometimes. They assumed you knew you were welcome. I showed up at 2 in the afternoon. The house was even bigger than I'd imagined from the photos he'd posted online. 3 stories, all glass and steel, overlooking Lake Washington. There were luxury cars lining the circular driveway. A catering truck was parked near the service entrance. I parked my 2009 Ford F-150 on the street. It looked out of place, but I didn't care. I was wearing my clean flannel shirt, the blue one Derek had given me for Christmas 3 years ago, and my good jeans. I even shined my work boots. The front door was open. Music and laughter spilled out into the cold November air. I walked up the stone pathway, carrying the apple pie I'd made that morning. My mother's recipe. Derek used to love it. I rang the doorbell. A young woman in a black and white uniform answered. She looked at me with polite confusion. "Deliveries are around back," she said. "I'm not a delivery. I'm Robert Hayes, Derek's father." Her eyes widened slightly. "Oh, I'm so sorry. Please, come in. Let me find Mr. Hayes." She disappeared into the crowd. I stood in the massive foyer, holding my pie, feeling suddenly very aware of my boots on their white marble floor. The house smelled like expensive candles and wine. Through the archway, I could see maybe 40 people, all dressed in what I'd call business casual. Sweaters that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. Watches that gleamed under the chandelier light. Then I saw Derek. He was holding a wine glass, laughing with a group near the fireplace. He was wearing a gray cashmere sweater and tailored slacks. His hair was styled differently than I remembered. He looked like he belonged in a magazine. He saw me. The smile froze on his face. He excused himself from the group and walked over quickly, his wife Melissa trailing behind him. I hadn't seen her in person in almost 2 years, just on video calls. "Dad," Derek said, his voice tight. "What are you doing here?" "Happy Thanksgiving, son," I said, holding out the pie. "I brought your grandmother's apple pie." Melissa's eyes flicked to the pie, then to me, then to Derek. She was wearing a cream-colored dress that probably cost more than I made in a week at the mill. "Derek," she said softly, "your guests." "Dad, this really isn't a good time," Derek said. "We weren't expecting you. This is a business function. These are Melissa's colleagues from the investment firm." I looked past him at the crowd. Not one person was over 45. They all had that same polished look, the same confident posture. "I thought it was Thanksgiving," I said. "It's a Thanksgiving networking event," Melissa said, her voice dripping with patience, like she was explaining something to a child. "It's for professional connections." "You drove all the way from Montana?" Derek asked. "I wanted to see you. It's been 7 months." Something shifted in Derek's expression. Embarrassment? Shame? I couldn't tell anymore. When had I stopped being able to read my own son's face? "Look, Dad, I appreciate it, but you should have called first. I'm hosting here. I can't just—" He trailed off. glancing back at his guests. Can't just what? I asked quietly. We're not set up for additional guests, Melissa said. The caterer prepared for a specific number. I looked at the spread visible in the dining room beyond. There was enough food to feed half of Missoula. I see, I said. Maybe next time, give us a heads up, Derek said. We could have planned something. Just the three of us. Somewhere more appropriate. That word hit me like a physical blow. Appropriate. I understand, I said. I'll get out of your way. Dad, don't be like that. Like what? I met his eyes. I'm not being like anything. You're busy. I'll go. I set the pie down on a side table near the door. You can have this, or throw it away, whatever's appropriate. I turned and walked out. Derek called after me. Dad, wait, but he didn't follow. Through the open door, I could hear Melissa's voice, low and urgent. Who was that man? I heard Derek's response as I reached the sidewalk. Just someone from back home. It's handled. Not my father. Not my dad. Someone from back home. I got in my truck. I sat there for a moment, hands on the steering wheel, looking at that beautiful house with its glowing windows and its beautiful people. I thought about the years of overtime, the times I ate canned soup for dinner so Derek could have steak, the second mortgage I took out for his education. Then I started the engine and drove. I didn't cry. I didn't punch the dashboard. I just drove. 11 hours back through the dark. I stopped once for gas and coffee. The kid at the register asked if I was okay. I must have looked how I felt. I told him I was fine. I got home at 6 in the morning on Friday. I didn't sleep. I sat at my kitchen table, drinking coffee, looking at the photographs on the wall. Derek at his high school graduation, Derek at college, Derek at his wedding, where I'd walked him down the aisle because his mother couldn't be there. In every photo, I was wearing the same type of clothes I'd worn yesterday, flannel shirts, work jeans. I'd never owned a suit in my life except for the one I bought for funerals. At 8 o'clock, I called my bank. I need to speak to someone about my accounts, I told them. By 9, I was sitting across from Linda Martinez, the branch manager I'd known for 20 years. Robert, she said carefully, are you sure about this? I'm sure. The recurring transfer to Derek's account. You've been sending him $2,000 every month for the past 5 years. To help with the house, I said. He told me Seattle was expensive, that even with his salary, the mortgage on a place in a good neighborhood was tight. Linda pulled up the records. The transfer is scheduled to process today. Do you want me to cancel it? Cancel it. And all future transfers. Okay. She typed something. And the college fund? That one hurt more. What's the balance? $47,612. You've been contributing since Derek was born. It was supposed to be for grandchildren, I said. My voice sounded hollow. For Derek's kids' education, the account is in your name, with Derek as the beneficiary. You can change that anytime. Leave it for now. But remove Derek's access. He can't touch it. Done. More typing. Is there anything else? I hesitated. The house. Linda looked up. Your house? No. Derek's house. The one in Bellevue. I'm on the mortgage, aren't I? She pulled up another file. You co-signed. His credit wasn't established enough for that size of loan 3 years ago. The monthly payment is $6,800. You've been covering. Let me see. You've been covering the full payment every month. I closed my eyes. I thought I was just helping with part of it. According to this, Derek's account has never paid a cent toward the mortgage. The automatic payment comes from your account on the 1st of every month. $6,800. Every month. For 3 years. I did the math. Nearly $250,000. Cancel it, I said. Robert, the payment is due Monday. If it doesn't go through, then it doesn't go through. Linda sat back. He'll get a notice. The bank will contact him about payment arrangements. If he can't pay, they'll start the foreclosure process. That's his problem now. Are you okay? Linda asked gently. I'm fine. I stood up. Thank you, Linda. Robert, wait. The college fund. If you want to change the beneficiary, we can do that now. Set it up for a charity, or, not yet. I need to think. I walked out of the bank, into the cold Montana morning. The snow had started again. I drove home, made myself breakfast for the first time in days, and waited. The call came on Monday at 3 in the afternoon. I was in my workshop when my phone rang. Derek's name flashed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. He called again. Voicemail. Then Melissa called. Voicemail. The voicemail started pleasant enough. Derek. First message. Hey Dad, I think there's been some mistake with the bank. Can you call me back? Derek. Second message. Dad, seriously, I need you to call me. The mortgage payment didn't go through. Melissa. First message. Robert, this is Melissa. We need to discuss a financial matter urgently. Please call Derek. Then the tone changed. Derek. Fifth message. Dad, what the hell? The bank says the payment was canceled. This isn't funny. We have a business dinner tonight and I can't deal with this right now. Fix it. Melissa. Third message. Robert, I don't know what game you're playing, but you're putting our home at risk. This is incredibly irresponsible. Derek. Eighth message. Fine. Be petty. I get it. I hurt your feelings, but you can't just stop paying the mortgage. That's not how this works. Call me back. By Wednesday, I had 23 missed calls. On Thursday morning, my phone rang at 6 a.m. I answered this time. Dad. Derek's voice was frantic. Finally. Listen, the bank is threatening foreclosure. They say we're in default. You have to fix this. I don't have $6,800 just lying around. The payment is due, and— Good morning, son, I said calmly. Good morning? Did you hear what I just said? We're going to lose the house. No, I said. You're going to lose the house. I'm not on the title, just the mortgage. Silence. What? Derek's voice was small now. I co-signed. I've been making the payments, all of them, for 3 years. But my name isn't on the deed. That house is yours, not mine. I don't understand. I think you understand perfectly. You make $180,000 a year, Derek. Melissa makes more. And somehow, you don't have $6,800 for your mortgage payment? We have expenses. The car payments, the club membership, Melissa's student loans. You have a BMW and a Tesla in your driveway. You spent $12,000 on a watch last year. I saw the Instagram post. You're monitoring my social media? I was trying to feel close to my son, I said, since he doesn't call anymore, since he doesn't visit, since he's apparently ashamed of me. I'm not ashamed. Someone from back home, I said quietly. That's what you told Melissa when she asked who I was. Another silence. Longer this time. You heard that, Derek whispered. I did. Dad, there were clients there. Important people. You didn't want them to know your father was a lumber mill foreman who wears flannel shirts and drives an old truck. That's not fair. No, I agreed. What's not fair is working double shifts for 18 years so you could have a better life than I did. What's not fair is selling everything my father left me to pay for your education. What's not fair is being treated like an embarrassment. I never asked you to do any of that. The words hung in the air like smoke. You're right, I said finally. You never asked. I chose to do it, because that's what fathers do for their sons. Or at least, that's what I thought fathers did. So what? You're just cutting me off? Because I hurt your feelings? I'm cutting you off because you're a 40-year-old man who needs to stand on his own 2 feet. I'm cutting you off because you make more in a month than I made in a year, and somehow you convinced me you needed help with your mortgage. I'm cutting you off because you called me someone from back home. Dad, please, just make this month's payment. We'll figure something out. We'll sell one of the cars. No. Figure it out yourself. You're smart. You have an MBA. You have a high-paying job. You have a wife with a high-paying job. You don't need me. Dad, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about Thanksgiving. I was stupid. I was trying to impress people who don't matter. I see that now. Please, I love you, Derek. I always will. But I'm done being your ATM. I'm done being your safety net. And I'm done being your embarrassment. I hung up. He called back immediately. I declined the call. He called 17 more times that day. I didn't answer. On Friday, I got a text from Melissa. You're destroying our lives over a misunderstanding. Derek is having panic attacks. Is this really what you want? I typed back. What I want is a son who respects me. The rest is up to him. Saturday morning, someone knocked on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened it, Derek was standing there. He looked terrible. Unshaven. Dark circles under his eyes. He was wearing jeans and a hoodie, not the designer clothes I'd seen on Thursday. Can I come in? He asked. I stepped aside. He walked into the house he'd grown up in, looking around like he was seeing it for the first time in years. Which, I suppose, he was. He hadn't visited in over 3 years. Coffee? I offered. Please. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd helped him with homework, where we'd eaten breakfast together for 18 years, where I'd taught him to play chess. I sold the Tesla, Derek said. Yesterday. We're selling the BMW next week. Okay. Melissa is furious. She says I'm overreacting. She says you're manipulating me. Maybe I am, I said. No. He shook his head. No, you're not. You're right. About all of it. He pulled out his phone, scrolled through something, then set it down. I went through our finances, really went through them. Dad, we spend $9,000 a month on things we don't need. Restaurant meals, clothes, subscriptions to things we don't even use. We have a wine cellar with $40,000 worth of wine that we're saving for the right occasion. That's your life. Your choice. It's a stupid life, he said bitterly. It's a shallow, meaningless life. And I've been funding it with your retirement money. I didn't say anything. The college fund, Derek continued. The one you set up for grandchildren. I knew about it. I've known for years. Melissa and I talked about using it for a down payment on a vacation home. That hurt more than I wanted to admit. We don't even have kids, Derek said. We don't want kids. They'd interfere with our lifestyle. That's what Melissa says. Our lifestyle. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. The lifestyle funded by my 63-year-old father who should be retired. I like working, I said. Dad, you have arthritis. I saw you wince when you stood up just now. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're working yourself into an early grave so I can drive a fancy car and drink expensive wine and impress people who wouldn't cross the street to help me if I needed it. What do you want me to say, Derek? He looked at me, and for a moment, I saw the 8-year-old boy who'd crawled into my bed after his mother's funeral, crying that he missed her. I want you to tell me how to fix this, he whispered. I can't fix it for you. That's the whole point. We're going to lose the house. The bank wants the full payment plus late fees by Friday, or they start foreclosure proceedings. Can you make the payment? If we liquidate everything, the savings, the investment accounts, sell both cars. Yes, barely. Then that's what you do. And then what? We'll be broke. You'll be broke for about 2 weeks until you get your next paychecks. And then you'll budget. You'll live within your means. You'll build back up, like normal people do. Derek put his head in his hands. Melissa is going to leave me. That surprised me. Over money? Over the embarrassment. Her friends know about the house, about the cars. If we have to sell everything, if we have to downsize, she'll be humiliated. Then let her go, I said. And I meant it. Son, if your wife loves you for what you have instead of who you are, she's not worth keeping. You don't understand. She's my wife. I understand perfectly. Your mother and I had $6,000 to our name when we got married. We lived in a trailer for 3 years. She worked 2 jobs while I went to trade school. We were happy. We were partners. When she got sick, she didn't worry about embarrassment or what people would think. She worried about you, about me, about us. I barely remember her, Derek said quietly. I know, and I'm sorry for that. But I remember her, and I know she'd be disappointed in the man you've become. He flinched like I'd hit him. That's cruel, he said. It's true. Your mother was kind, generous, humble. She never cared what kind of car we drove or what neighborhood we lived in. She cared about family, about integrity, about being a good person. I'm not a bad person. You're not a good one either. Not right now. We sat in silence. Outside, the November snow was falling heavier now. Montana snow, the kind Derek used to love as a kid. I don't know how to be what you want me to be, Derek finally said. I don't want you to be anything except honest, respectful, responsible. Those aren't high bars, son. What if I can't do it? Then you'll fail, and you'll deal with the consequences, and maybe you'll learn something. Derek stood up. I should go. I have a long drive back. You're driving back tonight? In this weather? I need to talk to Melissa, figure out what we're doing. I walked him to the door. At the threshold, he turned back. Dad, I really am sorry. About Thanksgiving. About everything. I know. Can we come back from this? I don't know, I said honestly. That depends on what you do next. He nodded and walked out into the snow. I watched him drive away, then closed the door and went back to my coffee. It had gone cold. 3 days later, on Tuesday, I got an email. Not a call, an email. It was from Derek. The subject line was, "You were right." The email read, "Dad, Melissa left. She moved in with her sister in Portland. She said she didn't sign up for this kind of life. She took her things and her car, we hadn't sold it yet, and left. I'm not going to lie. It hurts. But you were right about her too. We made the mortgage payment. Barely. I sold everything I could sell. I feel sick about it, but also lighter somehow. Does that make sense? I'm looking at apartments, smaller places I can actually afford on my salary without liquidating my future. I found something today. It's a 2-bedroom condo in Kirkland, $2,200 a month. I can afford that. It's not Lake Washington, but it has a view of a park. You can see the trees. I'm going to rent out the house. The rental income will cover the mortgage until the market recovers, and I can sell it without taking a total loss. I'm also calling you, not emailing. This is just to make sure you read this before I call, so you know I'm not calling to ask for money. I'm calling to ask if maybe you'd want to visit at Christmas, to see the new place. I'll cook. It won't be as good as Mom's recipes, but I still have her cookbook. No pressure. I understand if you don't want to. Love, Derek. I read it 3 times. Then I picked up my phone. Derek answered on the first ring. Dad, I'll come for Christmas, I said. I heard him exhale. Yeah, but I'm bringing the pie. He laughed. It sounded wet, like he was crying. Deal. And Derek? Yeah, Dad, I'm proud of you. For doing the hard thing. There was a long pause. Then, thanks, Dad. That means everything. We talked for an hour. Really talked. For the first time in years. About his job. About Montana. About his mother. About mistakes and second chances. When we hung up, I sat in my workshop for a long time, just thinking. I didn't regret what I'd done. Cutting him off was the hardest thing I'd ever done, but it was necessary. Like setting a broken bone. It hurts like hell, but it's the only way to heal properly. Christmas came. I drove to Seattle again, but this time Derek was expecting me. The condo was small, maybe 800 square feet, but it was clean and well organized. Derek had cooked a turkey. It was a little dry, but I didn't care. We ate dinner at a small table by the window, looking out at the park. Snow was falling there too. How's the new job? I asked. He'd mentioned in an email that he'd taken a position at a smaller company. Less pay, but better hours. Good, he said. Different. Less pressure to keep up appearances. My boss is a guy who started in his garage. He doesn't care what car I drive. Sounds like a good fit. Yeah. Derek set down his fork. Dad, I've been thinking about the college fund. I tensed. What about it? I want you to use it. For yourself. Retirement. Travel. Whatever you want. That money is for your children's education. I'm not having children. Melissa and I agreed on that, and I'm pretty sure I'll stick with that decision even without her. I don't think I'd be a good father. Why not? Because I didn't have a good example of what a son should be, he said quietly. I don't trust myself not to raise someone as entitled as I was. You're fixing that, I said. You're doing better. I'm trying. But Dad, seriously, that money should be yours. You've earned it. Let me think about it. We finished dinner, cleaned up together. Derek asked about the mill, about my friends, about Montana. He actually listened to the answers. As I was getting ready to leave the next morning, Derek walked me to my truck. Dad, he said, I know I can't undo what I did, what I said, But I want you to know, you were never the embarrassment. I was. I pulled him into a hug. He held on tight, like he used to when he was small. I love you, son, I said. I love you too, Dad. I drove home thinking about second chances, about tough love, about the difference between enabling and supporting. Derek calls every Sunday now. We talk about regular things, work, weather. He's learning to budget, to live within his means. He volunteers at a food bank on weekends. He says it helps him keep perspective. He's planning to visit Montana in the spring. Says he wants to see the mill, meet my friends, maybe go fishing like we used to when he was young. I still haven't touched the college fund. Part of me wants to keep it where it is, just in case. Just in case Derek changes his mind about kids. Just in case he needs it for something important. But mostly, I keep it because it reminds me that love isn't always about giving people what they want. Sometimes it's about teaching them what they need. And what Derek needed was to learn that his worth wasn't measured by his house or his cars or his impressive friends. His worth was measured by who he was when everything else was stripped away. And you know what? When it all came down, when the fancy life disappeared, I found my son again. He was there all along, just buried under layers of expensive things and misplaced priorities. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find what really matters. Derek learned that the hard way, but he learned it, and that's worth more than any mortgage payment I ever made.